Last week, I spoke to a member of the business community who lost thousands of rands in an alleged deepfake investment scam linked to a company called FXSI, a scam that used fake endorsements and AI-generated content to appear legitimate. Now, another victim has come forward. In this interview, they describe how they were drawn in through social media advertising, the tactics used to build trust, and the devastating financial and emotional impact the experience has had on the victim. As AI-powered scams become increasingly sophisticated, this story serves as another warning about how convincing and dangerous these operations can be. To protect the identity and safety of the victim, certain details have been omitted.
Okay, great. So I opened a case with SEPs and I stated under oath, I hereby wish to state that on 2026, I saw an advertisement on Facebook under the guise of a Daily Maverick, an online trading company called FXSI. It looked legitimate and I submitted my contact details via the app, and within 10 minutes, I'd received a call from I've noticed the telephone number. We're advised that the joining fee is, and I will be contacted by another agent, and his name was on who asked me to deposit money via the app on FXSI and to also upload a copy of my ID, credit card that can front, and a copy of my Metro bill. The amount that reflected on my bank statement was payment was made to I was then advised another consultant will contact me with further assistance. His name was paper number and then email address is on 2026. I was asked to deposit 21,000 rand, paid with my credit card, and thereafter another 4,000 rand paid through my check account. Payments were made to Zivalier Pty Limited and the First National Bank account. All communication was by email and telephonically, approximately 30 to 35 calls and emails during the duration from 2026. I initially requested a withdrawal of 1,000 rand as the monies were in profit, and a second withdrawal of 17,000 rand also in profit, both of which did not materialize. On 2026, I emailed requesting termination of my trading account, and to date, I have not had a response from FXSI nor from the case number from ABSA. I've got those details. I attached my ABSA bank statement reflecting the deposits and transfer of monies. And then I got a case number for the online purchase and a case number for the two amounts of 25,000 rand. And all the agents at FXSI were foreign nationals.
Thank you for that. Wow. But I'm just going to start off with asking how you came across the scam.
Yeah, it was on Facebook, and it was sponsored by Daily Maverick, but they had the video clip of Alec Hogg and Cyril Ramaphosa. And it just said, like, I think the sort of confrontation was against Ramaphosa by Alec, asking, why aren't you telling South Africans that there is a better way of making money? And why have you kept it hidden? And why haven't you sort of told people about this? And for me, it looked realistic. And I actually sort of was caught up in it. And I decided, okay, well, it looks legitimate, and let me try it.
And what actually convinced you to trust the ad when you first saw it?
I think it was just the confrontation on that TV clip on Carte Blanche, between Alcog and Cyril Ramaphosa. I thought, well, okay, well, you know, I was thinking like there's so much corruption happening in South Africa. And what I sort of understood from that clip was, well, maybe, maybe Alcog is right. And why is Ramaphosa not telling people about it? Because I think, like, like every day you open the newspaper or you sort of listen to the news, there's so much corruption in South Africa that I think one gets caught up in this whole sort of a rat race of corruption with people in parliament who are not being sort of, who are not, who are like literally stealing and not being accountable for whatever's happening at the moment. I mean, it's all there in the news every single day that this is happening, that's happening, and no one is brought to the front and no one's being held accountable for their actions. So I thought, well, this is the clip that I saw, well, this is a good exposure. And I thought, well, given the fact that this is what's happening, let me just try this trading platform because I thought, well, okay, it sounds legit. I was naive, I was desperate, and I just trusted what I read. Given the fact that it was under Daily Mavericks guys and also carte blanche.
Did anything about it seem unusual when you first came across it? Were you a bit wary or were you very convinced that it was legitimate?
Okay, I've got to admit, when I made when I got put my contact details, like within 5 minutes, I got a call, and it was a call from FXSI, and he was not South African. He sounded like he was from somewhere from Africa, but he wasn't South African. And he's like the first thing he said, well, in order to start trading, you'll have to deposit. And he said, I'm going to give you a pass code and I'm going to get someone else to give you a call and you would need to give him the information that he requires. So I got the second call from this and he asked me for my ID. He asked me to upload my ID, back and front, a copy of my Metro Bill, and a copy of my credit card, back and front. So I uploaded those three documents, and then he said, well, I'm going to process this, and once it's fully processed, there will be another agent who will call you. You need to ask him to quote a number so that it's not fraudulent, and he will assist you further. So the third call was from this guy, and he did all the right things. He quoted everything, and basically he didn't say much. He just sort of said, well, okay, you need to. I can't remember what he actually said per se. It was just basically, he said, okay, go into the app, have a look. There's a buy and sell option. So he said, what we deal with is commodities and foreign exchange and all of that. And what I'll suggest is maybe look at US oil because at that stage, with the whole war happening on the Strait of Hormuz, he suggested I invest in oil, right? And which I did. And the next day, it like I was sitting at rand and it dropped to like 1,100 rand. So when I got up the next morning, I saw this and I sent an email to and I said, please cancel this my account. I'm not interested and I would like a refund. That was the next day. And then after I sent the email, that it was about 6 o'clock in the morning. At about 8 o'clock in the morning, called and I didn't answer. And during the course of the day, he called me 8 times and I didn't answer. Then the next day, I think on the night we spoke again, and he basically sort of convinced me that no, everything is fine. I just have to be patient, all of that. And then I think it was about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, he called again and he convinced me to, oh, yes, I remember now. Apparently the margin level had dropped, and it said if the margin level drops below 150, then you're in trouble. We need to invest more money. So I said, well, how much more do I need to invest? So he said 20,000, 21,000 rand. He was very specific about the amount, 21,000 rand. I said, oh my gosh, that is quite a lot of money. Like, it's like, where do I get 21,000? He says, well, you can make a plan. Just remember that, this trading platform is quite good. You will make your money back. Just trust me and deposit 21,000 rand, which I did. And that was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. By 6 o'clock in the evening, it was in a negative of, I think, maybe 24,000 rand or something. And he called me and he said, you need to put in more money because it's dropped and you need to invest another 20,000 rand. I said, I don't have that kind of money. What are you talking about? He says, no, you need to because uh, he used some terminology, I can't remember, but he sort of convinced me to put in another 20,000 rand. I said, I don't have that amount of money. He said, well, how much more can you put in? I said, like, seriously, like my sort of threshold was 30,000 rand, but given the fact that I had already invested another 21,000 rand, that's a lot of money. So he said, well, how much more can you invest? He was quite aggressive. So I said, okay, I'll invest 4,000 rand more. And that's my cutoff line. And which I did. So I think that was a Friday, and come Monday morning, I think it had picked up and it was in a profit margin. Okay. And so that's sort of from that time, I think it was in a profit margin, profit. Out of the sort of 10 transactions I did were in a profit margin. And then the last two that I did went into minus 37,000 rand. But in between that time, when the money was in a profit, I requested a withdrawal of 1,000 rand initially. And I sent that request through, and they said it takes 5 working days. And then on this day, I spoke to I said, well, it's now 5 days. Where is my 1,000 rand? But let me go back. When I requested the 1,000 rand, they said it will take 5 days. And when I saw my profit was at maybe 20 or 22,000 rand, I asked for an extra 17,000 rand. When I submitted that withdrawal, they sent me a message stating that withdrawal cannot be done until the first withdrawal is being paid, has been paid. So the second withdrawal was pending, but the first withdrawal did not materialize. And on the 6th day, I asked, where is my 1,000 rand? You said it would happen, and it hasn't. And it just sort of, it didn't happen. So when that was before the whole thing crashed and it went I was in the minus of 37,000 rand. And that's when I sent an email, or I think he called me, and I said, what the hell is happening, you know? And I'm trying to recall. What was the answer? I can't remember, but at the end of it, it was just, that was the last call. I made that call on the, and I said, I'm not going any further. I want to cancel this, and I want a refund. And I never heard from him. Then on the, I sent him an email saying, I need closure on this. And I sort of told him I want closure on this. And I said, well, I think this was a scam in the first place. I should have read the red flags. And to date, you haven't responded. And that was it. I didn't hear a word from him. There was no feedback from there was no sort of senior manager per se. There was no one higher I could talk to. So that was another red flag that this was not a kosher company.
And was that the last time you sent a message to them and heard from them?
They didn't respond. They didn't respond to my termination letter. They didn't respond. Didn't respond to the email that I sent him a week later. And I haven't heard a word from them since.
And yeah, you say you reported it to SAPS.
Yeah, and I'm sort of liaising with the FAIS ombudsman at the moment, and they want to know whether I had sort of any feedback from FXSI, and I had to say no. And well, I sent it yesterday, so I'm just waiting feedback from FAIS. And then FXSI have contacted me. They're still working on the case. And that initial amount was actually, the bank, the money was sent to Dubai, and it wasn't a local bank. So FXSI is busy sort of working with that too.
I have one more question, and it's just how you feel now about speaking out about it.
Well, I'm relieved. I'm relieved in the sense that, given the fact, I've been sort of searching the website with regard to FXSI and the scam and all that, and it's just sort of a sense of, it's not relief. I'm just very angry and disgusted that people are able to do this to other people and get away with it. And that's the reason why I decided to sort of, contact Newsbiz and sort of, I just felt that it has to be exposed because there are so many vulnerable people out there. And, I was one of them. And it's so easy to be sucked into something like this when it's out of sheer desperation and vulnerability. So, talking about it, sort of expressing myself, just gives me a sense of relief, and it's sad that it's actually happening. And as I said, living in South Africa, we're inundated with corruption all the time. And it's getting so, it's mind-blowing that it continues and no one is held accountable for anything anymore.
I'm Terry Lanigan for BizNews.com.